Hmm. That's not right. We have to do it correctly or it doesn't count. Right. She's penicillin penny. She's the queen of the Sunset Strip. Well, if she ever gives you any, you better see your doctor real quick. Yeah, it's one of those. And I have an intro over here. What are the humans doing?
Do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. So if you think you're ready, you don't need more proof. Conspiracy deniers are denying the truth. They fabricate our problems and pretend to provide the best solution, but we all know they lie. They lied about the weapons and they lied about health. They lied about the fact that they're transferring the wealth. You should really notice how they're pushing the fear. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. Yeah. Everybody's not thinking clear. Keep everybody terrified. Not thinking. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. When you do, you realize that this is a trick. It's getting really stupid now. They're taking the mick. Said, do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues on their profile.
Oh, Sasquatch? Oh, yeah, he's like the Sandy Waxler of YouTube's.
Next time he'll get his own ketchup.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I learned a new trick. Let's see if it actually works this time, because it didn't last time. Is that the way it works? Is everybody in here now? You're blending in. Are you not in here? You're not in here. Hey, what's up, bud?
Up.
How you doing? It's technical issues. If it wasn't for technical issues, I wouldn't have any issues.
That is entirely fair.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Squatch. How are you doing, man?
Oh, well, it's been one of those days where everything's been like 4 hours late for me. Tried to take a nap, didn't work, went to the Waffle House, drank some crack coffee, talked to a guy about a bulletproof vest and didn't buy it. So now I'm here and we're talking to you. So why don't we just kind of skip to the chase and let you tell everybody what at least you believe your channel is about? That work?
Yeah, it kind of took on a life of its own. So I started the channel initially. Well, obviously, I got on YouTube and I had the channel and all that stuff, so I could use my name and all that. And I didn't really do anything with it for about 3 years. And then I met a friend, a young lady goes by the Exiled Lioness here on YouTube. You know, she does political content. This is around late 2020 and all that. And the first thing I put up was actually not for me. It was not about starting my channel. It was sort of a backup link, a way that people could use like the comment section to stay in contact from her chat if something were to happen to the channel, which 2 years later it did. But by then I'd already started doing my own thing, and I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to talk to people about anything and everything, you know, and that's how we started out. The last 6 to 8 months, it's been pretty heavily in the politisphere. You know, the global politisphere, but that's not all we're about. I mean, we'll talk about just about anything. So
Oh, cool. Um, so you're not trying to get too deeply into the whole political issue, or are you perfectly willing to jump off in there with your program, start kicking shit with everybody else?
oh, I have no issue talking politics. That isn't I just didn't want to be pigeonholed into any one subject, which as it turns out on YouTube, if you if you don't stick to one thing, it kind of throttles you a little bit.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does.
that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it, and I want to be able to talk about anything. That's why I start my live streams with this is where we talk about whatever the hell we feel like.
Exactly. And in your typical live stream, you have a couple of them. You do Screaming Into the Void, CTV,
That's the
um,
flagship show, yeah.
right? You do Trek. What is that? It's
We call it Star Trek Engage.
Star Trek Engaged, right? And there's a couple of others that are basically kind of a shuffling board of various creators.
Yeah, Star Trek Engage. We have a permanent cast on. You know, there's about 6 of us who just wanted to talk about Star Trek, about something that doesn't suck, that doesn't make us feel bad, you know, and make as many gay jokes as possible while doing it. You
Right.
know, and then you know we do have.
Do we? I think I lost you there. Darn.
Yeah, I might have roboted a little bit.
Yeah, I
Am I
just
back?
disappeared. Try that again.
Okay. So we do have rotating casts on Screaming Into the Void. We've had some people who've been with us for a very long time, some people who are real new. We've got people who come and go. You've been on there several times yourself.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. That one, sometimes we get into the weeds. This last Saturdays, guys, if you want to go check out my stuff, but you don't want to have a really bad day, don't go watch this last one because it's pretty much all about the events of last Saturday. You know, we get into some other stuff about an hour and a half into the show. The whole first hour and a half is the first 90 minutes is rough. Um, and then I do another show with my partner Lawrence Knight on Friday nights called Abyssal Musings, which we started out kind of just wanting to talk about some pop culture stuff, but it branches out a little bit, you know, but it's a little bit more structured.
Yeah, I was that one seems a bit more managed. Like
That's
I don't know.
because
I like
Larry is Larry is Army, and he's very organized. And he likes things organized, and so and he does a lot of work to keep us on track on that show. So
it does take some effort sometimes. I've been managing a show for Captain Curmudgeon here for the past few weeks, and it's it's really hard not to follow the chat off onto a tangent. And he really doesn't like chaos. He writes scripts and he reads scripts. He bought a teleprompter. he does that thing. He's perfect, flawless, not necessarily a news anchor. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you've got me. And last time I tried to host it, have a script was 007 when he told the story about how he was involved in a car accident somewhere in like northern England.
yeah,
Jerked a
I
tear
live
up
in the chaos,
Sasquatch.
man. Yeah, I live in the chaos. It is what it is. Like I said to you in that comment the other day, man. In the macro sense, I'm a creature of chaos, but in the micro sense, I'm a creature of order. And most of the time, I'm just winging it somewhere in between.
Right. So I got a question. You're currently labeled as the Ken Thulu.
Yeah,
Well, I just want to bring up that that was a perfect location for the Cthulhu Ken. Ken.
yeah,
You- it would have slipped so much easier through the.
yeah. It was originally it was Samuel the Kenfamous.
It's pretty
So,
good. That's pretty
yeah,
good.
no, I got a pal, 300 Mirrors on you'll find her on Twitter, and she decided that the men that she knew in the internet sphere weren't getting enough love, and she just watched the Barbie movie for like the third time, and she decided to label us all Kens depending on what our shtick
Yeah,
was.
yeah, no, I don't know if it was her. Let's see if I actually uploaded it. But somebody sent me a piece of work somebody did with me me bottled and labeled as a specimen, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I don't have it loaded up, so
Oh,
we'll look for
you
that
know
after
what?
in the
I think I've
afternoon.
got a copy of that somewhere in my archives because, yeah, that was Kohai Masochist. She's one of my mods, and she does a lot of meme work for us.
Oh yeah, I really want to be memed. Oh, I will do more stupid things if I can get more memes out of me. I'm- I've got this whole green screen behind me, and I could do the full Markiplier bit where I talk about how great this is. This is just the absolute best thing I've ever seen. Whatever it is going on behind me is the most magnificent. I can do that for hours, dude. um. All right. So, do you have a specific goal for your channel? Do you have like would is there a point in the future that you could look at it and go, okay, well that's done?
Not particularly. As I started it out, and I maintain this to this day, although obviously, like, focus has shifted in terms of topics and that sort of thing since then. Um, I really just wanted to talk to people. I did a few panels on Linus Exiled old channel, Exiled Linus, and I kind of developed a taste for it. I just liked being on panels. I liked talking, and knowing there were people out there who were hearing me. You know, um, it's a little narcissistic.
I've said this on many occasions, and every YouTuber I talk to who comes to YouTube with the intention of being heard, or waking someone up, or exposing something, in every case, they disagree. And here's what I say: you might not be a narcissist when you start YouTubing, but after the first year, you will have developed certain narcissistic tendencies that are necessary to survive in this sphere.
That's true, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I was a proud creature before YouTube.
Sure, but and this is coming from my personal experience. I have never been the type of person who in a crowd of people, if someone was going to do something, to step up and do it because I can do it better, right? Even if I knew I could do it better, if someone else volunteered, they got the job. I was that guy that stepped back with the rest of the crew.
Yeah, but not I guess in regards to your question, I don't have like an end goal necessarily. I'm not even shooting necessarily to be monetized. Getting paid is not the point. It was never. I mean, if it happens, I mean, I'm a capitalist. I ain't gonna say no to money, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to do it because I enjoy it.
Right.
You know.
Okay. So as far as I'm aware, I have yet to see a face reveal from your channel.
Yeah,
And
there isn't one.
is there such a thing ever going to happen in any future?
That depends on whether or not my day job ever comes to a peaceful conclusion, and probably I would wait until my youngest child is an adult.
Right.
You
I
know,
tell you, I pretty much did that. My daughter turned 18 about a year after I started my channel, which was partly planned.
Yeah. So no, it's some of that is to protect them from, backlash if I say something that people don't like, because you know how autistic the internet gets.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I mean, they'll hunt you down due to by figuring out what kind of fucking regional paint mix they
Oh no,
used in your room.
bro. I started interviewing auditors, and my fourth or fifth auditor that I interviewed had me investigated by a private investigator, a local one.
Yeah.
And the only reason I found out about it is because this is a really, really small town, and I am everybody's cousin. Every
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
that'll do it.
like,
The and
they come
some
by
of it,
asking questions, and they called me up, like, some dude come by asking about a Sasquatch. What are you doing over there?
right? Now, some of it is their mother and I are not, we're in, there's custody stuff going on too. So I don't need any of this, and
Yeah.
that crossing paths. And the other major thing is that right now I work in the public sector,
Hey man, you're not getting
and
any
there are,
smoke from me on that one. I'm not
yeah,
saying do it for Bill. I'm simply asking, is there a future where that possibility exists?
sure, there's always a possibility. Uh,
Okay.
I
Um,
don't see it as very likely at this time though.
I never intended to do a face reveal. I planned on killing 3 channels before I showed this lovely mug, and it didn't happen that way because I'm really bad at it, apparently.
Yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. I don't know. I hadn't. I did kind of a joke face reveal late last year where my ex-wife
Oh,
bought me before, like years before we got divorced. She bought me this kind of knit hat, right? But it's a Cthulhu face mask. And so it's like got all these like knit tentacles and shit and these big rigid eyebrows and stuff. And I have this other hat that I wear all the time that's actually in the avatar that you're seeing in the background there. I had Kohai put together most of that avatar. And so what she did, she took a screenshot of that hat, not this one, but the one that's actually
that
in the
one.
back, the old one.
I can't make
It Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, and I don't use that avatar anymore, but it's just a black beanie with the middle finger on it,
right, right.
so I put that on with the face mask and some dark glasses to, kind of like take my eyes out of the picture, and I did that for a buddy's stream as a joke, but honestly, that get up gets so hot so fast, I am not doing that on a regular basis.
Right? Oh, baby. Listen, I never intended to do a face reveal. I was planning on reading Westerns. That was my whole plan
Mhm.
was just reading Westerns. And hold up. What in the world's going on over here? Why have I got an additional? How are you streaming from 2 channels simultaneously, chick? All right, we're going to talk about that after the show. Anyway, we're going to let that go. If I can. Fucking autism. Listen. So I was planning on doing reading Westerns, old out of print, like old yellow journalism kind of Westerns and fictitious tales and Sasquatch accounts and traders' stories and stuff like that, right? But I got a bad mic and I was stuck having to scream into the microphone I had, and I didn't know it was broken. And so I didn't know how to fix it. And so when I got a real mic and I had to do all the live streams because that was all I could really do. And I get a real mic and suddenly I can do the recordings, but people would rather hear me just babble about inconsiderate bullshit. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. What's this about,
Okay.
people breaking their plaques?
I've heard a little bit about it. Um, I don't, I can understand the concept if you're trying to make a statement, but I've spent 3 years doing this trash. And every time I start to get a grip on something that actually starts working, YouTube changes something and puts everybody in the shitter, completely
Mhm.
immaterial to any other change. And they change their terms of service to make it less likely for channels like ours to go anywhere.
Mhm.
And they weight the freaking scales against anyone who brings up certain topics that might be, topical.
Yeah,
And
that's been a problem.
once you do monetize, they will immediately strike you so that they have you over the coals. And I can keep going on all night, bro. I hear tell freaking Rumble seems to be doing a bit of gangbusters over there. Have you considered going that route?
I haven't figured Rumble out. I have a Rumble. Most of my stuff gets mirrored up and put up over there automatically, except that they, for some reason, not everything does. A lot of my most recent stuff is still not showing up, and when it does happen, it takes forever and all that. But I man, I haven't even figured out how to comment in people's live chats over there yet.
Right?
when I
No,
do it, it just shows up in the regular comment section.
so I'm not gonna lie. When I set my Rumble up, I got a phone call from somebody, and they were like, "Hey, you ought to go ahead and set your Rumble up. By the time you get, halfway decent on YouTube, you ought to have enough to be able to stream over there." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was about half a pint in at the time, and I sat down, set it all up, got it all working. Everything was fine. And I went to upload my first video, and it wants me to decide between three options, and I have no freaking clue which one of them options is best for us. Yeah, there's the beanie. Now you can see.
Yeah,
It's
the
pretty
beanie's
good.
the only part of that that's like a photograph. Everything else was done
Right.
by Kohai. So she does good work. She's a good chick. Glad to have her on board.
I like any kind of participation in the whole support realm. And I got a thing that I'm supposed to do at this point. And damn, it's not gonna work right. I just found a flaw in my whole plan here. Well, then we're gonna do it this way. And I say, screw it.
No
We're
plan
gonna
survives contact with the algorithm.
no, dude, like the algorithm is kind of a joke. I use it when I don't want to say the real words that come to mind. All right, I went and dug up the very first upload you have on your channel.
You know about cars? Yes, I'm a paleontologist. Oh, it's okay. There's dynamite in this bag too. I am a paleontologist. I'm a paleontologist. Paleontologists study really old stuff.
Like crackers.
Because bad movies are funny.
And the whole purpose of this madness, see, that was supposed to actually be up on the screen in all the right places and doing it correctly. And now I've screwed the pooch quite well. Anyway, so you did an introduction on your channel as your first upload, but it's not an introduction for your channel.
No, not at all. That's not the purpose of it. I did do another one later that is, this is archived in its own playlist, but yeah, this was the first upload.
That's kind of
And it's
hilarious.
Yeah, and it's awkward as shit, and it's just a black screen with a voiceover.
Yeah, no, we're totally fixing to listen to the whole thing. It's not long. And I do this on purpose. It makes people uncomfortable, and I fucking love it.
All right. So this is Samuel the Infamous, and we are just getting started. The purpose of this short introduction is not really an introduction to my channel at all. I mean, there will be stuff later, but we're not there yet. The purpose of this is to leave the comments section open as a kind of communications forum, specifically for the Pride. If you are in the Pride, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're not, I mean, stick around. Maybe you'll find something you like. We'll be pinning a comment to link the channel that the Pride comes from to refer people back to that if they so choose. The channel's name is The Exiled Lioness, belongs to a friend of mine, and she's.
Let's correct that right now.
Yeah, well, it was
is
the Exiled Lioness at the time.
Yeah, I know. It's the Lioness Exiled now for anybody
Yeah.
interested in such things.
Different channel. First one's gone. YouTube nuked us.
Nuked from orbit, as I understand.
Yeah.
Let's see what this one brings up. It should be that one, and then we should be into this one. Right. So, for the most part, is this the one I was on? Hold on.
Nope, this is a recent clip that I
Okay.
uploaded last Saturday.
All right. Just checking. Thought I recognized something like the green haired one. And reminding everyone in chat that in the animal kingdom, bright plumage is a warning of danger. That is all.
She's
I'll just
dangerous, all
talk
right.
stuff.
She's a fucking Marine.
Right? Listen, man. Listen. I had an experience with a Marine once. She was all of like 5'6", 5'4" or something. She was not a big woman, but she was built like a piece of freaking wood, man. Like she was like a toy that could just bend you into little bitty pretzels and leave you crying on the ground. And for a solid 45-minute period, she repeatedly beat me unmercifully. I had 6 inches on her and probably 50 pounds on her. And not only did it not matter, it didn't do me the least bit of good.
Yep.
That woman went through different throws, different locks, different tosses, different she used strikes, she used ground pound techniques. Like that woman beat me every possible way you could possibly be beaten, and I enjoyed the ever loving hell out of it. And it might say a lot about me, but I don't care. It was fun.
Yeah. Gal there, green haired anti-liberal, we call her Gal for short. She's not much bigger than that.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't appear to be your usual green-haired behemoth. And talking to her, she's rational.
She's one of those people who's kind of pissed about the whole brightly colored hair being co-opted into something stupid for the last 10 years because she just likes color, specifically green, and she feels like that was taken from her, so she's rocking the green hair anyway.
Groovy. I actually dig colored hair, but it is a baseline warning. It's like seeing somebody riding along in a mask and alone in their car. There's no point in having a conversation with that person.
It used to just be hot, and now it's like, hey, big neon warning sign: don't go near this woman if you value your balls.
It is a possible warning sign. I have met rational blue-haired women. I have met 2 rational pink-haired women, 1 rational green-haired woman. Purple and Danger Red seem to still be in the safe zone of staying the fuck away from.
Mm-hmm.
Just avoid Danger Red. Danger Red is just no.
Yeah, no, Gal's cool. She does cosplays. She's pretty level-headed, and she's a veteran.
She dealt with me well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that says a lot in my book. The fact that I didn't end up under her skin and get no hate mail from it. So it's the specimen. There he is. That's the one I'm really after. I'm seducing Sam into my corner to convince him to submit to my will. Wait, that sounded far too honest. Yes.
It makes him so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can see him crawling over there. I do so little of it that it really unnerves him. If I was just doing it all the time, it wouldn't be so bad. But it's the fact that I only drop that trash when he's not paying attention to it.
Look, it's not that you're coming on to him that bothers him, because people say jacked up stuff to Ryan there all the time. What bothers him is that A, you sound sincere, and B, it's more romantic than it is just gay.
I don't even want to have sex with him. I just want to cuddle. I'm just saying, dude. So you've achieved what have you got? What are you working on? Like was it 222 subscribers? Is that where it's at?
Yeah, we hit 222 earlier this week. Actually, I think it was on Monday.
That was groovy. I saw that.
Yeah, pretty happy about that. What's funny about this whole thing is like, so you remember a couple months ago, YouTube changed their whole watch hours deal.
Right.
So you can get partial monetization, but not AdSense at 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours now.
Trust me, bro. I just hit 1 million views, 3,000 subscribers, 3,000 watch hours, qualified for monetization, and got a strike and demonetized all in the same week.
Yeah, that'll happen. What's funny is like, you know, like I don't have that many subscribers by YouTube standards. You know, it's a pretty small account. Part of me kind of likes it that way because it makes it easier to include them in a conversation. I see bigger channels and they got chats flying by. You don't know what's being said, and so I do like to include my chat in the conversation. But what's funny about that whole thing is that even though I don't have that many subscribers, I do 2-3 hour live streams, at least 3 every friggin' week. They're watching all of it.
Right. Now,
because I have
that's
right
one
now
thing.
I'm
Go
only
ahead.
a little bit over. I'm like 208 hours away from 4,000 watch hours.
Right.
You
I
know?
I don't know, man. I've been looking at this whole terms of service thing, and there seems to be a little bit of a change right there at the at that first tier of monetization. Like, I discovered that things that I was doing that, according to the YouTube back end, is completely fair game, is not monetizable by a monetized channel. And I'm like, how am I supposed to work in YouTube Studio if it lies to me?
Well, that's a good question. And honestly, their duplicitousness is one of the reasons I'm not really in a hurry to get monetized.
And
You
I'll
know?
tell you another thing, whether or not you accept the monetization thing, even if you never respond to them, the second you qualify for monetization, you suddenly are held to the monetization standards because they're going to be putting ads on your videos whether you like it or not.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but it is what it is, I guess. And I'm sure they're gonna want me to go back through and cut a bunch of stuff out because I've
Oh
got
my
some
god,
copyright claims that I
dude.
really should probably deal with. Keep things
Getting
blocked, you know?
Eagles.
Yeah.
Cat,
They're like,
cat
"Oh, no
budget
impact now, but should you get monetized, we're gonna fuck you over real hard."
real hard. Yes, sir. Um, I was doing some backstage talking with Captain Curmudgeon one afternoon, and we had been discussing different attacks for access to new YouTube subscribers and stuff. And I suggested that he do parody songs, and he's like, I might do one. I said, I'll make you do. You do one, I'll do one. And a couple of weeks went by. He agreed at the time. And then nothing happened and nothing happened. And so I did the Mississippi Squirrel Revival as Alex
Love
Jones.
that video.
It's pretty good. It's pretty bad too. So he saw that and he was like, I guess he remembered it. So a couple of days later, he didn't upload one. He uploaded like one a day for a week. He uploaded a whole bunch of like parody songs he had done in the past week or whatever. And one of them suckers went like 200,000 views, bro. It's still climbing. And he's over here like he's been doing this really serious news program every freaking like 3 or 4 days, like once a week for 3 years. 96 subscribers. Does one song. 1,500 overnight, just about it.
Yeah. Well, the trouble with that is like how many of them are going to stick around if they come for the parody and they find that the content's not what they expected.
Right. And that was something I discussed with him when I suggested doing shorts. I was like, something you have to understand when you do shorts. You can get a lot of views and you can get a lot of attention and you can pick up subscribers pretty quick using them. If you've got a deranged bent, it's much easier. On the other hand, none of these people are going to come to your live stream.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. They're not going to watch your videos. They're not going to watch anything but your shorts. So once you start putting up shorts, you're kind of stuck doing it to an extent. But right now, that's what YouTube is pushing. is shorts. When it comes to long form content, a single long form subscriber, like an actual live stream viewer, is worth 10 or 20 short subscribers, maybe 100, because they don't watch anything you'll ever be able to monetize.
Right.
The live stream watcher does.
It works the other way around too. Like most of my live stream watchers who watch the live streams beginning to end, who catch them live when they can, they don't watch the short clips that I put out. Usually those are pushed out to like random people. You know?
And it's weird, man. Like one of the issues I have is people will catch a short and they might decide, "What's up, Izzy?" And they might decide to come by and take a gander at the this is the other channel I said had numbers like yours, and in a similar stance of numbers. Izzy, she has a channel that has buku watch time, buku attendance, buku interaction, and almost no subscribers to speak of. She's toting around like 1,200, 1,500 subscribers, and she's probably bringing down 20 or 30 people, concurrent viewers, on the regular in her live streams, like every day.
Yeah, I believe I'm subbed to her actually.
Yeah, she's funny. I don't know how to explain the humor. You kind of have, it's all a bunch of inside jokes, so you kind of have to stick around through a couple of live streams for it to start sinking in and getting funny. But I kind of backdoored into Izzy's channel through no, it's the other way around. I can't remember which way it went. I either backdoored into Izzy's channel with Scully's House of Thrillers, or the other way around. It was one way or the other. I don't remember. Which, yeah, if you're interested in doing since you don't do a face thing, voice work might not be outside of your purview. He does live performance things.
No, I've caught a couple of episodes, mainly because you had said you were going to be there. I think first thing I did was that reading that you guys did of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was very cool. It was very enjoyable.
In the middle of that, while we were doing it live, the bit where homie drops the axe, I can't remember who it was that their mic fell off the stand at the perfect moment. It didn't even break nothing up. Like, we went right through that like it didn't even happen. It was beautiful, brother. Appreciate
Sometimes it works out.
Sometimes it do work out. You know, we also did Shawshank Redemption, which was really cool. And I met a guy, was it Burnt Flowers, I think is his name. He's got more voices than I do.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, he's cool, dude. Him and his wife are both real cool. I have no idea what they do on YouTube though. Somehow every time I subscribe, I get unsubscribed, and I don't know why. Happened to you a few times.
Yeah, that's happened. I've been seeing that kind of thing happen all over YouTube. I mean, they do every 2 weeks. They do a purge of quote unquote dead subscribers across the board anyway, and they'll remove people who have been watching and participating and all that stuff, like they're bots or some shit. It's annoying.
I call it the 3 a.m. purge. It happens at 3 a.m. on the East Coast. I'm not sure when it happens to everybody else, but
yeah, it's about 1 a.m. where I'm at. That sounds about right.
I'm gonna let this play in the background. This is a libs of TikTok thing, and I'm gonna skip the whole playing of it because it's got music in it. We'll go back, start from the beginning if you want. What's up, Flow State? When we go to After Dark, if you're gonna stick around for that, that's up to you.
Sure.
All right, so when you're doing your Star Trek Engaged, do you catch a whole lot of copyrights coming off of that?
Oh, we get blocked about 20 minutes after the stream ends every week.
Okay, have you considered using still frames instead of clips?
We have considered a few different things. We've even tried a few different things. Paramount Plus, Paramount Universe or Studios or whatever, are outside of Asia. one of the most stringent about their
Right.
copyrights, and they've got bots all over YouTube, so there's no getting around that. Um,
That's true.
you
But
know, I mean, we
there are
y-
variations on a theme, so to speak. Part of your
sure,
issue is you won't have a face on your screen. That's
yeah.
one of the problems. When they're looking for fair use, they're looking for a face that is actively moving and talking and doing stuff.
Oh no,
So
that's absolutely true. However, with I think a couple of exceptions, I've won every dispute so far.
right, no, I mean you're obviously well within the free use
Mm.
spectrum. The only thing I can see that you could do at all better is shorten clips a little bit, which I get the impression that you're using a capture card to capture it from elsewhere and you're just kind of pausing and fast forwarding through it to pop it up. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
Something like that. Yeah.
Close enough for government work. We're not going to argue about it. We're not revealing secrets tonight. If you can figure out how to do a screenshot of that trash and bring up the pertinent screenshots as a slideshow, or for that matter, StreamYards allows a slideshow. You just got to figure out how that's supposed to work. I used it yet.
Yeah, that's something that we will probably look more deeply into once we get to the original cast movies, which we're also going to be doing.
Oh,
Um,
don't even do that.
yeah,
Ooh.
we're going through the whole thing. Initially, it started out as so Specimen Ryan hadn't seen any of this stuff. So when we got done reviewing season 3 of Picard, which was how this started out, it's just a me, him, and a guy named Horny Alf just talking about this season 3 of Picard, which actually is pretty good. You know, the rest of it's garbage, but that third season is pretty damn good. We got to the end of that, and we're just like, I kind of want to keep doing this. Why don't we go back to the beginning? And Ryan's like, well, I haven't seen most of this stuff, so we sort of started this as a way for him to be able to watch it with friends, you know, weekly, and also just because we're all fans of Star Trek. You know, it's something that we grew up on, or we have fond memories of, or got us through a tough time, or some
Yeah.
shit like that. You know, and it gives us an excuse to get together once a week and have fun and not worry about, you know, the other things that we got to worry about in life. It's an escape for the cast as well, or for the panelists as well as the chat. So, and it's you know, we get pretty risque with some of the jokes and some of the things that are said, but it's you know, it's an escape. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. So we decided to go all the way back to the beginning. Right now we're coming up on episode 11 of the original series, and we're going to go all the way through TNG, DS9, Voyager, and most likely Enterprise, and hitting the movies at where they fall in the timeline.
Where's the nukes? And I mean, I'd prefer an asteroid, but whatever works.
I mean, there are days, man, when I'm sitting
Yeah,
here and I'm like, why hasn't that extinction level event happened yet?
maybe we're it. Any consideration for a presidential run? 2024, No Lives Matter.
I mean, yeah, I announced I was running like months ago. Nobody wants to vote for a squid, but you know, my name's in the hat.
Since Squid Games, I think you got a chance. You just have to. I mean, Americans are stupid, dude. They elected Donald Trump without really any other consideration. They were like, the Simpsons were right.
Yeah, well, you know, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, when they find out that I'm only trying to get them to line up to make them, you know, more easy to devour, they're kind of probably have an issue with that. But it'll be too late by then, so we'll worry about that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, I don't care. You can get all the humans you want. There are plenty of them. That's for freaking sure. May I suggest something, you know, and of the Asian persuasion? I'm just start over there, maybe.
Hungry now again later.
Yeah, obviously. You can go down and get you a little bit of some kimchi, maybe some
not kimchi.
some people to Sala.
Not kimchi. No. Oh. Oh, I freaking hate kimchi.
I'm not a real big fan of pretty much anything curry related. Oh, dude, I had to do this work in a house one time, and I was requested, like they were like, send that guy. We want him to do this work. And I told them no. I was like, I don't like the way their house smells. I don't want to go back in there. These are like, there's nothing wrong with these people. You understand? Their house is absolutely immaculate. It's a new build, new construction. They just want some cabinets put in, and they want someone they can trust. But they are always cooking curry, and that stuff makes my eyes burn. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And they doubled, and then they doubled it again. And I was like, you know what? He paid me enough. I'll go in there and freaking pepper spray. It'll be fine. I realized that I was a highly capitalistic creature when they kept putting zeros on the end of that check. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was so cheap. Like, it lets you know your self-worth pretty freaking quick when you get straight up purchased.
Right?
You can't deny it after that. You're like, okay, so I'm a capitalist. I did, however, develop a new credo after that. It is the most American thing on earth to sell out. Just don't do it cheap.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Make sure it's worth it.
Absolutely. You got to make sure not only is it worth it now, that it'll be worth it in 5 years when you look back and go, damn, I probably should have sold out for that.
Yeah. Sandwich wasn't that good.
Right. I once offered a truck for a dry ham sandwich. I was so mad at that thing. I'm dead serious. If somebody had showed up with a dry ham sandwich that day, I'd have given them guys the keys and the title and the number to my tow truck driver to go get the damn thing and take it away. Oh, bother. What has happened? Oh, right. No, I doubt it may not load that one at all. Mainly because YouTube, after this got uploaded, YouTube changed the terms of service to an extent, and apparently StreamYard knows it. Like, for instance, did you know that if you bring up something like a YouTube movie to watch in StreamYard in private and you try to play it in StreamYard, the movie won't play?
I did not know that.
You might get the sound, you might get occasional frames from the movie, but you're not going to be able to watch the movie in StreamYard.
Yeah, no, I
Hard way.
I did not know that. I don't go through YouTube though for that, so that's probably why I didn't know it.
That's for everybody at home, folks. If you're planning on doing anything even remotely like any of this, go and get you a capture card right out the gate. Don't even mess around with nothing else. Just skip to the front of the line.
Yep. So, but that's I mean, like I said, we have some issues on Sundays with that, but honestly, it's nothing that we're super worried about. I mean, we dispute it. It's back up after 48 hours. We're getting more views after the fact anyway.
Well, I mean, you still miss the sweet spot on the algorithmic viewing.
You do. Yeah, you do.
But that's why they hit you the way they do.
It's arbitrary sometimes too. Sometimes they'll hit one channel and not another. We simulcast to 3 YouTube channels, 2 Twitter pages, and a Facebook page, and I think we're doing it to a Twitch page now too.
That's cool. I'd like to get in on some of that.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, and it's just like the only reason we're not doing it to Rumble is because they've got that ridiculous setup where you have to get a temporary key, and you got to upload like a temporary video and stuff to sort of, I guess, save its place or whatever. And I don't know, that whole process is confusing. The others we can just tie it in and click a button, and it's
No,
ready to go.
that's part of, see, because when you go into that and you upload that video, right, and you spend the 30 minutes rendering it up there, whatever it is you're uploading,
Yeah.
then you get
Interesting to note.
option. They're like, do you want us to take full monetization? Do you want to have monetization, or do you want to share monetization? I'm like, I just want to upload a fucking video. Like, I don't know.
Interesting to note. Probably the easiest time we've had with setting up is with Twitter. Actually, not only is it easy as hell to set that up with StreamYards, but it also it doesn't get hit over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change my channel name, Ada.
Not necessarily. I don't know. We'll talk about that. See
I
if
was
we can.
thinking about going something a little bit more deviant, like Teflon Sasquatch, or I don't know. I really like Caucasian Sasquatch. It really explains how little of my channel can be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's a good name. It's a good brand. I don't know. But my Twitter handle is not Samuel the Infamous. I mean, that's
I'm aware.
like the name that they have there. So, did I ever tell you what happened with that? Why the channel name is not Hentai Surprise? Because it used to be.
Yeah. No, you never did tell me.
All right. So when I first started getting involved with Amira over on her channel and all that, and she's a very conservative Muslim woman, and she at the time was working for a channel in Black YouTube, basically called the Lapeef Network, where she would go and have conversations over there and stuff like that. And they approached her after seeing my name in super chats and comments and once or twice up on screen about how they couldn't be associated with somebody who called themselves hentai anything. Yeah. And she didn't at that point know what hentai meant.
She's
which
such
is
a
part of the
child.
Yeah, it was part of the reason that I did that, and she knows this now, and she laughs about it now. She's kind of pissed when she found out, but I really, really liked the idea of like sending her super chats with that name, and she would just shorten it to hentai instead of hentai surprise. And I'm just like, this sweet Muslim girl is just saying something. She has no idea how dirty that is. But but anyway, so she sends me this lengthy email basically detailing that she was getting pressure from those guys and being conservative, and now she understands what the word means, that this was a bit of a problem for her to be associating with. And so because she was my friend, I changed it to Samuel the Infamous. As far as I was concerned, that other network could go fuck themselves, but because she was my friend and she asked me to do that for her, I changed it for her. However, it was after I set up the Twitter and my professional email, so those are still hentai surprise because
I noticed that. But let me tell you how I noticed it, because this was funny to me. I got the email. I responded because I knew who it was at the time somehow, and I didn't notice the name of the email for whatever freaking reason. I just kind of, autism right over the top of it. It wasn't until later when I went back to email you again that I had to remember, wait a second. Well, I remember it wasn't Samuel. What was it? And I was scrolling down and I saw hentai surprise, and I went, oh, there it is. That's obviously it.
Yeah. It was a good name. Part of me is kind of sad that I don't use that anymore, but as the channel name. But on the other hand, Samuel is the brand now, so I guess this is what we're sticking with.
Right.
And as far as the infamous part of that goes, I got that from Amira too, actually, because before I changed the name, she had referred to me as on a live stream as the infamous hentai surprise. And I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to keep that then.
Right. I kind of wish, and keep in mind that I come from a history of trolling. I was a terrible person once upon a midnight dreary back when I was on every drug known to man. I would do horrendous things to people because I found it humorous. I don't do these things anymore, no matter what you think. And so when I come across these people that are doing these types of things, and it warms the cockles of my soul to know that there are people interested enough in YouTube to absolutely spur out on every little thing that takes place. You can accidentally mispronounce a word and trigger a whole fleet of people. It's awesome.
Yep.
You know what you did?
What did I do?
You did a show.
I did.
Whole thing. Yep. It ain't even hurt, did it?
No, not even a little bit.
This guy gets drugged to prison, drugged to jail while crying for his mama. We're gonna listen to it in a minute. But before we do that, you got a few channels that you support. You want to tell everybody what day is before we cut out and go to the after dark part where we bring other folks up and everything goes a little bit ham.
Well, obviously there's my channel. You know, we do the live streams throughout the week, and that's or throughout the weekend rather. I've got a day job, so the week is difficult. That's why we're on so late now. My buddy Legion Talk, or Specimen as Sasquatch calls him. He does a lot of stuff. A lot of it's very pop culture oriented with him. He's also somebody who hangs out with me over on the Engaged show. I would highly recommend go and check out Beelzehub. My buddy Devil made me do its channel. That's a lot of fun. He's a good guy, and honestly, I think he could use a boost a hell of a lot more than I can. Good dude. Go check him out. He does this thing called Get Ranked every Sunday, where he picks a topic and then he invites panelists on who basically argue over which ranking order things are in. And I was on this last Sunday, and it was Sylvester Stallone movies.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's on Sundays.
You know what I've been waiting to have happen, and I haven't seen it happen yet. Have you seen Men in Black 3?
Yeah, I think so.
The one with the Beast.
It's the one with it's Tim Curry, isn't it? Goes back in time.
There's some back in timeness that happens, and there's this dude who vaguely resembles me that is the arch nemesis in the movie.
Yeah, that's Tim Curry.
That cannot possibly be Tim Curry. There's no way in hell that dude is Tim Curry. I don't believe
he's wearing
you.
a fuckload of prosthetics, but it's Tim
He
Curry.
better be. Oh my god, is that Tim Curry?
It's one of the last things he did on camera before he got real sick. Yeah.
Oh my god,
They beefed him up to make him look like Macho Man Randy Savage, but yeah, that's him.
They did a good job. They did I bet he was wearing a Randy. Oh yeah, let me tell you the best way to go about doing Macho Man Randy Savage's voice, brother. All right.
Yeah, and the other thing, I guess, Linus Exiled, I moderate for her, I produce for her. Sometimes she makes me go up on the panel and talk to people for her. Okay. It's a good time. It's very politically oriented though. So again, if that's not your bag, maybe,
it's an odd orientation. It is specifically sort of culture war generated, but from a very odd quarter. Her channel was partly responsible for me finding your channel. It was largely Carrie. I mean, and I can understand why you wouldn't trust me having come from Carrie's chat. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Just maybe let him. Just don't block him yet. But I understand. And if you haven't checked out Mandatory Carrie's channel, I don't know what he's currently called. Oh, yeah, he's changed his name back to something wacky again. Can you say that word? Data's Law Act, Mandatory Carry. It's the Volstead Act spelled backwards. That's a Georgia law where everybody's required to possess a firearm in order to wander the streets of a Georgia town.
Yeah, well, I just say Dateslav.
Yes,
he hates that.
Yatslav. I say it Russian. Yatslav. With a southern accent, if you can buy that. Anyway. Yeah, let me do my talk out, and then I'll do my thing and my stuff. And we'll do all that. Right. We'll be right back in just a few minutes, bud. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Much love.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the show, but not the end of the hour. We are going to go into some rather nefarious things that take place on police forces in the after dark. I'm not sure I ever went and actually updated what this whole show was supposed to be about, so you might not be able to find the links in the description. I'll try to do it correctly whenever we get off of live. But until then, I appreciate each and every one of you like a brother and a sister. But if y'all give me any trouble tonight, I will run every dead blame one of y'all off this mountain.
3, 2, 1.
All right, giggity, let's stack the deck against me. Wait, why is it? It's all weird. Why is it so weird? All right.
What do you mean, why is it so weird?
Emma, I appreciate you restreaming everywhere you restreamed. How'd you do it to 2 channels that have the same name?
What do you mean, dude? Because I told you, I'm different.
You're different.
I do things differently.
I got you. All right. So how are we
I
doing
got 4
tonight?
phones for a reason, man.
Oh, Lord, you're one of those people.
The mouse? No, hold on.
Good night, Carrie. I'm not even sure where we're going from here. Let's back up. And since none of this can get anybody but me struck, we're gonna do this.
Oh, sorry, man. You cut out at the perfect time. I was about to burst.
Yeah. No, that's why it's only 57 minutes. We were supposed to cut out 2 minutes earlier.
I'll sit here the whole time. I was like, I'm trying to make conversation and not sound like I'm drowning my teeth, but
And it's I got editing. I'm a pretty good editor, so like we can totally screw the pooch on it and fix it later. We got a post-production, bro. What was I doing? Oh yeah. Not that, not this, not that. We're gonna go back to this one. And as soon as I can figure out how to make it happen, Captain, we're gonna there we go. Looky there. And I assume everybody can see and everybody knows what we're doing here, right? All right, so this is a 2-year-old Libs of TikTok compilation. And there may or may not be copyrighted content in this compilation. So anybody out there stream sniping might want to break that shit down pretty quick. Hashtag just saying there. How much do you know about Libs of TikTok?
I follow Libs of TikTok and Riot Chaichik on Twitter, actually.
Cool
I've been
beans.
for about a year.
Oh, so this probably predates you're following them. Okay.
It does. Yeah.
I think it's like 2 years old. I think. Yeah, 2 years old. And it didn't do real well. I'll be honest with you. He's got others that did much better. And the source for this video is Big Nick, and it's the SJW Cringe Pride Edition. So you can guess what month it came out in.
That I would like validation for my gender identity. There are some pictures of me. My pronouns are it and they. My gender is none. I enjoy dressing in a more feminine, I guess, way. But I don't want to be associated with gender. I enjoy looking like a clown. I kind of view myself as a doll. I don't abide by gender. I'm fucking built different.
I'm a man, right? But I'm also not a woman.
Okay. Agreed. You're definitely built different.
Like a woman, in fact.
And this is something I've said that has gotten me kicked off of other people's panels. And I can't stress how narrowly this razor cuts any argument. There are 2 sides to all of them. Only one side reproduces. That one wins by default. The rest have to come for your children.
Well, no, that's not true.
Absolutely true.
So I don't know how. I don't know how. Again, I do not know how. But look on YouTube, bro. There's some of them that are having babies that should not be having babies because it. I mean, but they are.
You are
They
You're
are,
correct.
talking about
and you can follow them through their whole pregnancy.
you're talking about a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority of a percentage.
Such a tiny,
So that
tiny
yeah,
as to not be a
but
voting block. Two
There
sides.
ain't
yeah.
there ain't enough of one side having kids to make that big of a difference. The other side is popping out babies like bunnies.
Yeah.
You know.
The other side's Catholic. And I hate to be that guy, but they're winning. They are winning. The only way the other side gets a piece is if they literally recruit from the morons available.
That's why they've taken over education and entertainment.
Oh, that's just classic Marxism, dude. That's just the way it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Mao's Cultural Revolution. It is identical. Yuri Bezmenov. I went and recorded like 3 hours of Yuri Bezmenov's speeches so I could find a specific quote. And it is, once the process has been underway for a sufficient amount of time, you can show a normal, rational man in the streets evidence of the truth and tell him the truth. Show him the evidence, and he will tell you you are lying because his brain will have been rewired to only accept the propaganda.
Or as Stalin put it, is tell a lie enough times and it becomes the truth.
And also, a lie can get around the world before the truth puts his boots on. Jesus Christ, where's my Terry Pratchett quotes when I need them?
He also, this is a paraphrase, but he also said something to the effect of get them while they're young and the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. You can go a step further and take on there is no justice. There is just us.
Yeah, I love that quote.
That is one of my favorites, dude.
It's from Mort.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I mean, the first time he said it, I think he actually said, there's no justice, there's just me.
Yeah, well, his death, it was being spoken from the perspective of the personification of the act of dying. So, yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah. No.
Let's go through and talk to some people in chat. Let's see what they got to say about it. Y'all see this thing on TV? We got it right over here. Y'all got anything? What would you call that? This thing right here. I mean, be nice. Be benefit of the doubt.
You asking me or you asking chat?
I'm asking chat, but what's a she they?
What was the name of that guy who was in all of those old Molly Ringwald movies? he was always getting put in the friend zone. Doesn't that look just like
Brian Johnson? And I can't remember the name of the actor, but in The Breakfast Club, his name was Brian Johnson.
Yeah. But you know who I'm talking about, though. He's in Pretty in Pink, I think, and 16 Candles, and
16 Candles, and I think he had a bit role in Elmo.
Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. It's not the other guy. It's not the brown haired guy. It's the other guy y'all are talking about. Yeah, McCarthy.
Yeah, the strawberry blonde ginger looking dude. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Y'all are evil.
Evil? No, we have opinions. Oh, and to qualify,
I straight up clipped your maniacal ass laugh from earlier this week. I got it. I put it's on Lucy's channel. It's the most maniacal laugh on YouTube right now. Find another one out there that's more than that. Seriously.
All right, let's see if we're right. He, she, it, they, them. I don't know.
Women. Forget gender. I'm a vibe. I'm an idea.
You are all wrong. He's not even a person. It, they, them.
He won't mind if I take his rations.
Right? I love anarchists. I ever tell you how much I love anarchists? They're the greatest. Right? You know why? When I declare myself warlord, they're going to be my standing army.
Yeah.
And I got what over here going, well, how are you can't make us do something we're not willing to do. No, I won't do it. My friends will. You know, the people who are with me, they will work you over for a good 4 hours. When it's said and done, you're in boot camp. Congratulations. You are now a member of the political party. I might be slightly
how that goes. Yeah.
I'm just saying, anarchists, they act like they had the greatest idea ever, and it's an original one. Doing what I want to do.
And that's you get that so much from actually a number of different factions. Get this delusion that it's all going to be like I'm going to be able to work on my art and
rainbows and sunshine,
sundown, and all that shit.
Yeah,
it's like, no, that's not how that works. Somebody's going to come along who's bigger and meaner and stronger than you are, and they're going to put you to work, or they're going to put you down.
Right?
What? That sounds like some Nazi shit. But I mean, I'm just saying,
it's human nature.
Well beyond Nazism.
For somebody to come around and make us their bitch.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's why America was founded.
That's
that is exactly why America was founded, to prevent that very thing from happening to you.
But then that's okay. That's not necessarily true, because I'm apparently everybody's bitch anyway, and that's just the facts of life. I'm just keeping it real, like for real. Because look, I done got up and left my motherfucking space that I had clearly designated as my space in order to keep from snapping on some motherfuckers just now. So
just me or them?
Like I said,
trigger somebody tonight, baby.
No, them.
All right, so
they're so extra.
This individual is neither male, female, they, zoom, zer, none of that. They are a vibe.
He's a vibe. His pronouns are because he's a vibe. I'm just saying. That's what she said. I mean, that's what said. That's what they said. I'm a whole ass vibe. Like, no.
A concept, if you will.
I couldn't hang out with them.
Catastrophe. So there's that.
Kink belongs
also
to
a
pride.
catastrophe.
I'll agree with that last part.
Kink is not inherently sexual and has a deep-seated history in the.
Okay, kink definition.
Let me stop you right there.
Let me finish. Kink, sexuality. In human sexuality, kinkiness is the use of non-conventional sexual practices, concepts, or fantasies. The term derives from the idea of a bend in one's sexual behavior to contrast such behavior with straight or vanilla sexual mores and proclivities, which means, by definition, it is a sexual statement. Continue.
I mean that
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Seeing this shit all the time.
Okay, like, carry on.
I'm going to tell you the definition of a word, even though that's not what the word's always meant. I'm just going to make up a new definition, and you have to agree with it by default. And that's horseshit. Like, obviously, the kink has always been a sexual thing. Hey, look at its use throughout history. It's never not been a sexual thing. So for somebody to come along,
first word there,
looks like you're barely out of diapers, comes along and says, "Oh, it's not a sexual thing." I was like, "Where? Obviously, you haven't been around long enough to know."
Bro, I'm gonna I talked to Shadow a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And, I'm kind of poking around at the idea. You know, apparently he's a Belta fan. Right. And I was thinking about putting together a sort of a reaction stream on the Belt series, because it's a magnificent series if you haven't seen it.
I have seen this series, and I have read up through, I think I'm in the middle of the third book.
Right. Well, I read the books first, and it was a byproduct of just going through absolutely everything written in the library. And so it didn't really stick with me when I read it. I just read it. It was one of the things, like I said, I read like all of The Wheel of Time, and I read all of Dune, and I read all of these things, and almost everything Robert Heinlein ever produced in any form.
What? Oh my
Lots
God.
of
Yeah,
books.
yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
Well, I caught the I started watching the TV show, and I didn't know it was based on a book at the time, or a series of books at the time. And when I found that out, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. So I decided to, on somebody else's recommendation, go and try and see what I could read about them. And that first one I thought was excellent. Second one was pretty darn good, not quite as good as the first. I am stuck on the third one. It's boring.
Dune?
No, The
Or
Expanse.
The Expanse. Okay, all right. So first of all, The Expanse is very much like The Wheel of Time or Dune, in that a lot of it is a mental exercise to understand what's going on.
Well, I
And
understand what's going on. It's just not very compellingly written.
the middle of that series does get a little bit bogged down into some political details that will never matter again. It's not until you get like 3/4 of the way through that book that you actually start getting to some things that actually matter. Although, and one of my favorite things about that series is Miller.
Miller is a good character.
The character is phenomenal, but the way Homie played him in the series is miraculous. It's so good. I'll go back and watch that first season at the drop of a hat. I'll just binge it for a day. In fact, I'll probably watch it tomorrow now that I've mentioned it. I don't know, dude. I was thinking it was something that's already started, already finished. It's done. There won't be anything new, and we could do a full watch on it, spending 2 hours a week for each episode, and edit it down to a reasonable 20-minute video or so.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go back and do the upload, instead of doing the actual edits from the video, I'll do the edits from the sound, and then do an overlay of still shots from the series to represent what we're actually discussing.
Yeah. It's funny. I've actually,
in the event that it gets copyrighted on a particular image, you can just swap the images out, try again.
Yeah. I don't know. Might be worth looking into. It's funny though. There's been a number of things that I picked up for whatever reason with the visual medium, and then went to the written word that usually came before, like Altered Carbon.
Oh yeah,
I saw the first season of Altered Carbon, and it blew me away. And I'm like, I got to find out more. So I went and I got all 3 of Richard K. Morgan's books, and I read them back to back, and they were awesome.
Well, they're really good.
Season,
that's another one that's a real mindfuck. Yeah.
And then season 2 came out, and I hated it.
Hold on. This is a conversation I've been wanting to have with you for a minute. We're fixing to do this shit, whether you like it or not. I am personally against the concept of self-identity. You do not identify yourself to other people. They define you to other people. So no matter what image you want to put forward, you will not define. That's why you can't pick your own nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the concept of identity politics is completely a fused state thought. There's no legs on it. You can't even carry that in the English language because it has no direct meaning. Politics, by its very nature, is sort of a fuzzy concept. It's hard to define. It's like art. What's political? Well, any Marxist will tell you that anything is political. Everything is political.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's get into some definitions here. They talk about definitions all the time, right? So where does political come from? Politics, polis, Greek for people.
People, a group, not an individual.
Everything to do with being human is political.
Right. Okay. So when it comes down to Altered Carbon, this, in my opinion, is the only way identity politics can actually hold its own water. Consider this. It's not a matter of changing your physical form to suit your personal identity, but rather finding the physical form that matches your current personal identity. And that way you can just be sleeved up in what you believe yourself to be, and then you are correct.
For the right price.
Otherwise, it's a mental illness.
Agreed. I don't disagree with any particular point, man. The only caveat to that would be if you want to look and be a certain way and you get downloaded into the proper sleeve for that, I think it's not gonna be cheap.
Right? It's not. I mean, unless you want to be a fat, dumpy Asian guy pretending to be young girls online. But most people, I assume, are going for like the Chad build. You know, I'm just saying, like, I'm sure you get that one on a bargain basement price, right?
Right. Well, you know how like murder victims get an automatic re-sleeve,
Right.
you know,
You don't
courtesy of
get
the
to
state,
choose.
but they don't get to pick their shit. So you have like parents waiting for their murdered little girl who got run over in the street to come back out to them, and here comes an old man of a different race, and he
Right.
doesn't
Or,
understand why he's not a 7-year-old little girl.
yeah. And they just have no grasp of the circumstances.
Mhm.
So, in my opinion, the first season of Altered Carbon nailed identity politics flawlessly without ever mentioning it. The second season attempted to do so again and failed, not because of any particular failure of the writers or the script or even the setting or casting. The issue came up in the actual actors being what they were trying to identity portray, right? So like
Yeah.
Homie is a trained for so that people who haven't watched the series can understand. This guy's spec ops,
Oh,
right?
he's way past that, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I'm just trying to put it on like a modern playing field. This is the most severely trained individual in the universe. This is Snake Plissken himself. This is Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear program, times a billion. But my point is they take him out of his original body and they put him in a new sleeve that is also trained in all of these same arts.
Well, it
In the
isn't just
second
the
season, they
there's a
stick
core
him in.
aspect.
Go ahead.
There's a core aspect of his training here that's very important though too. It's like normally it would take somebody who got re-uploaded into a new body, right? Would take 6 hours just to learn how to fucking walk again. This guy's up and ready to go, combat ready in 6 minutes. Doesn't matter what body it is, what world he's on, he's good
Right.
to go.
Right. Well, I was getting to that, but first you have to understand that he was taken out of a 5'6" body with all of his own lifelong trained instinctual everything and put into a 6'6" body that was 240 pounds of romp and stomp of MMA fighter, and then taken from a 6'4" what's his name, Vlad Drago, and put into a 5'6" black dude who has super reflexes, right? And this transition would take most people months, if weeks, if not months, to try to get a grip on the new body. But this guy's an envoy. He's trained specifically to take on the new identity immediately and be combat effective, like you said, within a few minutes.
Yep. And God, Takeshi Kovacs is one of the most complex characters I've read in recent fiction.
And part of the reason Anthony Michael Hall played Brian Johnson in The Breakfast Club, that's the guy, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah.
I remember what it was. I said it was. My bad. Anyway, the point that I'm getting at is you have his sister that is also sleeve hopping, but for the most part, she's hopping her own clone sleeves specifically because it allows her to come out of a transition completely effective immediately.
Mhm.
She doesn't use other sleeves.
She does. She just uses them for other thing. I mean, anytime she needs to be herself, you know, she's got vats and vats of clones of that. But she does like she'll use like little girl sleeve or an old man sleeve if she's looking to, you know, get in there and not be recognized.
But my point is, she's a Methuselah. This
Mhm.
woman's worth more money than God himself. She's monetized like the Catholic Church. She's got it better than the Pope, right? Big
Yep.
money. Okay. Since she's big money, does that not mean that she could use her own clones to make those other sleeves?
Sure.
So she's still combat effective in those sleeves immediately.
Mhm.
Okay. Making sure I hadn't misunderstood something somewhere. So the method of identity politics in that show far exceeds the method of identity politics available to the average citizen. Today, people have to go through a vasty amount of cosmetic surgery to achieve what they want, right?
Yeah.
And
It's interesting too because there's actually there's another aspect of the identity politics stuff that they don't really talk about, like in the case of Demi the twin.
please continue while I blow my freaking face off with sneezes.
Fair enough. So in the story, Demi the twin is actually one person, but he's double sleeved. Basically, he made a copy of his own consciousness and put it into two bodies to work simultaneously, which is extremely illegal at this point. Kind of thing. It's like it's one of those things where what they do is they um, it's worthy of summary execution, and by that I don't mean body death. I mean true death, where they erase your stack usually by shooting it.
Or just breaking it.
Yeah. So, but he is one person acting and for all intents and purposes, as far as the world is concerned, as two people, as
Right.
opposed to like how you'll see in some stories you got two people who get shoved into one body and they're always fighting for control. This is the opposite effect of that, and like which one is the real one and which one is the copy, you don't know. And that actually comes into play with Kovacs too. I don't want to give anything away, but
Yeah, no, that's a hard one to explain anyway. There's a pre sleep, a pre Envoy War download of him that's re-sleeved, and he hunts himself down as two separate identities that
yeah,
believe the real guy.
and so when you put it in those terms, right, skin color and gender seem kind of meaningless.
Exactly. And that's my point, is that it's meaningless in the frame of the show because it is completely meaningless. It doesn't matter on the brass tacks of it. But then when you have counter sleeving taking place, where you, like you were saying, you have a 7-year-old girl who is murdered, who gets re-sleeved in a gangbanger thug who's 45 years old and an old head with tattoos all over his body. And she just cannot grasp why this is the case. And it leaves her traumatized because she doesn't have the identity of her persona, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, our modern incarnation of this concept is to drastically change one's appearance because they feel a way. Well, unfortunately, life doesn't care about your feelings. And just like this little girl who got re-sleeved into a large male character, she doesn't get a choice. I wasn't given a choice when I was born. And as far as how I identify as a large hairy feller in the swamp. And that's about it.
Well, I think there's a lesson in here actually. So you take this little girl, right? She's re-sleeved as the middle-aged dude, and obviously it affects her very negatively. Her parents are very upset, but there's nothing they can do about it because they don't have any money, right? Whereas people who are really rich, Methuselahs, can become anybody they want at a whim.
At a whim.
Right? What that says is that identity politics is a luxury problem.
Thank you. That is exactly where I was going with this. All right. So here's the total encapsulation of that concept, in my opinion. What's up, Slow Burner? The only people who bother wondering about their gender are the people who are so overproduced, so over well provided for, that they have to invent new problems to have to explain their anxiety in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Give them some real problems with some real day-to-day stuff that's a bit more steeper than where they're going to get their next latte. And all of this goes out the window before you can say boo.
Right. My go-to example is like you take a kid in the Sahara, right? And he's got to trek 15 kilometers or so to the nearest watering hole that's drinkable, right? And he's got
Yeah.
a couple of buckets with him on a yoke, and he's got to make that journey there and back before nightfall. He's got to do this all in one day. It's hot as shit because it's the Sahara, sand, everywhere. It might, if it gets windy, that's going to be a problem for him. He's dodging like scorpions and snakes and all that kind of stuff. And he's got to get there with enough wherewithal to gather the water and carry it all the way back without losing too much of it or drinking too much of it
Right.
in the hot ass desert sun. And hopefully all goes well. Do you think that he gives a fuck about some New Yorkers they them problem?
Not even a little bit. Never even crosses his mind. Even if he has a cell phone, he does not care.
All he cares about is getting that water back to where it's needed without losing too much of it and dying of thirst while he does it.
And this dovetails flawlessly into my next point of the evening. People in the desert vote for water. They always vote for more water. They don't take action to have more water. They don't attempt to retain water on their property in most cases. They simply go to the council meeting and put down their vote for more water. This is how California ends up drinking most of the desert's water. Our desert out west is not a desert because it does not rain. As much as they would like you to believe that to be the case, it is not. Quite a bit of that territory gets quite a bit of rain. It is, however, shaped just like a funnel, and everywhere flash floods instead of retaining the water. Back in the history of the universe, there were once beavers the size of VW Beetles that crawled that whole area. And then they died, and smaller beavers moved in and did the same thing the big beavers did. And that place was an absolute wonderland. And then the trappers came through and wiped out all the desert beavers because they had especially fine hair. And now people who live there vote for water. That's insanity.
There's a very, very large aquifer that runs under Colorado, part of New Mexico, Wyoming, and Montana. And about 20 years ago, Colorado voted to start sending their share of that water to California so that Californians could water their lawns without consulting the other 3 states.
Yeah, didn't say a word to nobody.
And now California has decreased the level of that aquifer by something like 2/3.
Yeah.
To water their lawns.
And I reiterate my previous statement. This place is not a desert because there's no water there. It's a desert because there's no soil and no water retention there. You can go look at what some of these people are doing on their homesteads out in the middle of the driest place in America, and they change the shape of the landscape. Suddenly they have a pond. It's not that there's no water. It's really hot. Yes. But there's no retention. It's all rocks, sand, silt, and gravel. There's no plants. There's no animals pooping on the landscape. There's nothing there to absorb the water. And so it's just like building a French drainage system. It just runs out.
Indeed.
So like I live in a swamp. Around here, all of my education on water was designed around removing water from places where we don't want it, which means you have to learn how beavers function.
Right.
So I learned that you can control beavers through the sound of water. If you want a heavier dam built somewhere, and I'm not joking, Merely go to that location, break the dam a little bit to make water flow, and record the sound. Set up a speaker and play the sound, and they will build that spot in the dam until they cover that speaker up. They will never stop. So if you could put a handful of beavers in that area where there is some water, a little bit, they'll move up and down the whole waterway, provided they can find woody plants to build a dam out of. They also use rock and mud and poop. This is my personal dream. I have an obsession.
Oh, no worries. I think we could probably solve a lot of California's water problem if we could, convince them that desalination technology was actually feasible and would pay for itself within 5 years, which it would and is. They know that, by the way. They know that.
It's just like the whole nuclear question. I mean, you cannot talk to any of these blue blood liberal types about nuclear because it's such a terrible thing. However, it is the most energy dense method of developing any form of energy whatsoever.
And it's also the cleanest and statistically the safest.
Furthermore, we have hundreds, in some cases more, in every state. There are these coal-fired power plants that are reaching the end of their lives. Their mechanisms are fine. They can all be revamped and rebuilt. It's the coal burning aspect of it that's running out of lifespan. You have to completely rebuild that part of the power plant. However, I think there's a good argument to rebuild these coal plants as nuclear plants. It would be a smaller contribution to the footprint of the thing, and completely eliminate the greenhouse question from it.
That's actually in the works where I'm at. We've got we're in coal country out here in Wyoming. It's all coal country out here, but among other things, rare earth minerals, cadmium, uranium, that sort of thing. But that's one of the things that's being talked about across the state, particularly where I'm at, is
it's a good one.
Within 10 years, converting the local coal-fired power plant to nuclear.
I'm in Georgia. We've got 2 nuclear plants down on the Savannah River. There's probably a couple of others around I'm unaware of. But those 2 were specifically placed on that river, as I understand it, because of Stone Mountain. Get this one. The byproduct of that type of nuclear power is a heavy selenium content. Now, when you have a selenium content, any amount is heavy. However, the Savannah River is derived directly from the granite of Stone Mountain. It runs through and destroys all of that stuff. In the process, it picks up a couple of trace elements that aren't found in other rivers, one of which happens to be selenium. When they added the power plant to the river, they added 0.4% selenium to the river, more than the 0.9 that currently was, right? And that's why that type of power plant was put in that river. It has almost no effect. We have a crocodile population that has taken up around there because of the warmer temperatures, and a rather large flathead catfish population that has taken up there also for the same reason. Other than that, there's virtually no environmental impact there. It takes river water from upstream, cools down the pile, and releases it downstream like 3 degrees warmer than it was when it went in. And that's it.
Yeah.
We get free power, basically. Now, it's not free for us. We have to pay for it just like you do.
Yeah. But, it's consistent. It's, for the most part, safe. You get a lot more bang for your buck with nuclear than you do with anything else. How much bleed off are you looking at with solar or wind? Most of it, actually. You're not going to retain that much of it. And furthermore, even batteries bleed off energy over time, but But yeah, with solar panels, I think you get like I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 to 22% retention.
Right. No, solar panels suck.
Yeah.
As an energy method, they're really bad. The amount of
Well,
energy it takes to make a solar panel, the level of
right.
equipment necessary to derive the minerals necessary to make it, it's absurd.
It's the same problem with wind farms. The cost to put up a single one of those power generating windmills that with the blades that are like 180 feet long
And
is
then,
so ridiculously high. It requires open earth mining. It requires rare earth minerals, which are not disposable. you know,
in a
um, and
disposable fashion, less.
and even then, it's still completely dependent on enough wind showing up.
And furthermore, they're only viable for a number of years until they have to be removed and replaced with an upgraded version.
Right. At which point they all get landfilled, which is, I mean,
That's
super
what
green
we're
of you
trying
guys.
to fight here,
Sad.
right? Isn't that what we're against? I'm so confused. I'm so confused by all of this.
It
I
takes
sat
3
down
semis to haul one blade.
right, and you have to shut down an entire town just to pass through. Yeah, this is efficient. Meanwhile, depending on what type of a nuclear power plant you are using, your breakdown elements can be utilized in further nuclear research.
Mhm.
Almost all of them have a critical mass index, which means they have an energy density, which means there is a design for a plant that would utilize that energy density, breaking it down into less and less unstable elements.
Yep.
I have got one of my long ass hairs stuck in my mouth. It's been driving me crazy for the past 10 minutes. You see, it takes like 3 full tries to get that out. That's what she said. Oh my God. Ugh. So, when it comes to trying to plan the energy of the future, I don't think we're in a position of not having it. We're in a position of the people who are in control of these things have decided you're not going to get it.
Yeah, it's the same way that the automobile became the most popular mode of transportation in the country rather than rail travel or trolley.
Right.
The people who were making the automobiles were like, "We're not having that," and they went about and sabotaged the other industries.
Which is one of the reasons I believe lobbying should be heavily regulated. Like, you should, that whole
Yeah,
process is broken.
there was plenty of that too, but no, these guys were going around with like sledgehammers breaking shit.
Right.
They were beating the crap out of people. They were intimidating people. There were people who went missing over this.
The guy who made the Stanley Meyer.
That too. Yeah.
Car.
Yep. Well, that's a more recent example. Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking back in like Henry Ford's day when rail travel was becoming more and more of a popular thing. There was a plan to have a network of like passenger railways all throughout the United States that was as comprehensive as Europe's, if not more so.
It was partially executed. A lot of our railways were built by the design of having passenger trains available.
Partially, yes.
And then part of that was Teamsters work. You're putting it down because like bus drivers unions, they went full militant. There was a whole bunch of activity that was utilized backstage. What's up, Lucky Laptop? Good to see you, bud. Danny Staten, good to see you too. That was utilized to keep passenger rail traffic from becoming a major constituent of the American experience.
This was, of course, before the major implementation of the interstate and interhighway system that we have now.
Right.
But the reason we have that is because guys like Henry Ford and his cronies were like, no, we want to sell cars. This is what we're in the business of doing. You're not going to supplant us. And they made damn sure, good and well, that that's what happened.
Exactly.
Even though they had just done the same thing to the horse and buggy.
Exactly. Yep. And they were passing laws against having horses in town suddenly. Where the
Mhm.
fuck did that come from? You know, you can't do that, right?
What, can't pass a law against having
You
horses?
cannot make it illegal for a horse to enter any area in America. It is against the law to do that because it is a bona fide, guaranteed method of travel, and you cannot outlaw travel. Go check out what's the name of that dude? What is it? Gangsta Cowboy, I think.
Hmm.
Oh God, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna go dig it up. I'll put the link in the description when I finish this up.
Yeah, it doesn't really come up out where I live. Everybody out here's got horses, so
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Is if somebody decides to ride their horse to town, the only question that comes up is whether or not they're shod properly for the ride.
Mhm.
That's it.
Eh.
There's this guy who does who rides into Houston. He lives out in Texas, and he regularly rides into Houston and will come in on like because he has to cross the interstate and he can't on a horse. He has to ride with the traffic on the interstate to get into town. And about once a week, some random cop decides to stop him and tell him he can't ride a horse on the side of the interstate like that, only to get shot down by the fact that you can't stop him. Perfectly legal. In fact, the horse has right of way. If that horse decided to run across that interstate and you ran into it, you would be at fault.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is America.
There was a high school, I think, a couple years ago, where they all decided to take advantage of an old rule or something that said that seniors could ride their horses to school on like the second to last day or whatever.
Mhm.
And because they were just messing around, and so all the seniors showed up on their horses, and but because it was written in that they could absolutely do that. But not only that they had to do that, but that the headmaster had to go out and make sure all the horses were properly fed and all that. And he
Right?
did it to his credit. Dude stepped up and he obeyed it to the letter. You know.
Got another one for you. And this is one that has been completely obliterated from action, but is actually ensconced in law in almost every town, municipality, everywhere. You have, get this, the right to bear arms.
Oh yeah.
There is no condition by which that right can be abbreviated, and yet it has been abbreviated in lots of places. And when they decided they could abbreviate it in schools, they immediately abbreviated it in every single house of worship, everywhere, ever, except for one place in Georgia, which requires that you have a firearm to enter. I love that place. If you go to a police department, it has a sign outside that says no firearms are allowed to be carried in the building. If you go into that police department and you look at the actual laws on the book, I guarantee you that department has written on its law books in its policy that they are supposed to provide you with a safe location to store the pistol. In every case, nowhere is this actually done. In fact, if you walk into a police station with an open carried firearm, they're liable to tackle you to the ground and arrest you on the spot. And dear God, if you get found inside a police station with a concealed carried firearm, you're certainly going to jail. That is wrong.
I agree. I also say that that's probably true in the majority of places. Again, out where I live, it's not, as likely just because everybody's packing out here and everybody knows it.
Yeah, well, we don't have those kinds of problems here. The last time, all right, perfect example. And I think you'll recognize this. I live in a small town. Everybody pretty much recognizes everybody if we don't actually know each other. I call my pops and tell him I'm coming out there to use the shooting range, and I'm bringing this gun and that gun and this other gun, and I'm gonna bring this one over here that I got from a buddy of mine, and we're gonna all go out. I'm gonna go out there. We're gonna shoot, and it's gonna be, whatever. On my way out there, I get pulled over by Georgia State Patrol, who happens to be a guy that my brother went to school with. He doesn't ask me for my ID. He opens the back door to my truck, pulls my guns out, sets them on the tailgate, and sit around and talk for about 20 minutes about the different guns I have. And then he puts them back in and gets back in his car and leaves. Now, this is an obvious misuse of power, but at the same time, he did absolutely nothing to infringe on my rights except for flag me down with his lights. Yes, I was rather nervous. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, when I realized who it was, it never even crossed my mind that I'd been pulled over. That's not what that was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But it never crossed my mind that was
excuse.
abuse of power. It didn't enter my head. What it was, what I knew had happened the second I saw that man was he was at my pops talking to pops when I called pops and said I was coming out there, because I don't do that very often. And pops mentioned it to him and also mentioned the guns I was bringing. And homie just wanted to check them out because they are a little bit exotic. You know, I mean, I wouldn't own anything ordinary, right?
I mean, he could have, you're right, but he could have honked.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd have pulled over regardless, but he's a cop. He did cop things. He made cop noises. I can't fault him for that. I mean, was it inappropriate? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did he probably get chewed out about it? Probably. But he didn't ask me for my ID. He already knew who I was. This is all silliness.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little torn on the whole issue with the police, because, you know, on the one hand, I recognize that human nature requires that we regulate ourselves to a degree.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll just eat each other alive.
Yep.
Because I know people.
Yes.
On the other hand, like, I kind of don't really want to be regulated at all. You know?
You know, I totally get it.
The problem is that I know cops. I'm on a first name basis with half my local PD, right? I work directly with them because I work in the public sector. I also know criminals, and I know all manner of folk in between.
Right.
You know, so I get that there's definitely, you know, some instances when I absolutely believe that, yeah, they should be being watched. They absolutely should. There's other times when I'm like, hey man, you need to step back and let them do the damn job, because somebody's got to.
Right. And I have a response for that. There are a group of people on YouTube who consider themselves activists of various stripes. Some of them hunt cops down to film them. These people, in almost every single case, have this horrendous story about how a cop screwed them over. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's bullshit. The trick to finding a good auditor has nothing to do with their original interaction with the cops and whether or not that interaction is true or not. It's how they go about doing it. You take some people like Truth Be Told Audits, or Lucky Laptop. He's in chat right now. Lucky Laptop has an excellent why he's an auditor story. He was trying to film a cop. His phone died. He grabbed his laptop and hit the film. What's up, Snowfire? Good to see you. And when he turned the laptop to face the cop screamed that he was in fear for his life and tried to break his laptop. Because he didn't, and I'm quoting, know what he was going to do with it. While Lucky Laptop was yelling, I'm going to film you anyway. And so the cop tried to break his equipment. That is a good reason to become an auditor, in my opinion. But there's more. Third Coast Cop Watch became an auditor because they are literally stalking him. He's got evidence and footage of them like showing up for no apparent reason and banging on his door and stuff. And anytime they do send a cop to go deal with him, it is specifically the cop that he has an issue with. No other cops ever deal with him. And so naturally, anytime that guy shows up, he gets kind of sparky. Everything goes spicy, and he gets more charges than a freaking bailiff can list.
Yeah.
That is lawfare.
It's like I said, I can see both sides.
Yeah.
But I've also, like you were asking about a face reveal earlier, and like I'm actually on YouTube in a couple of places that you might not realize, just because I've been in places where people were capturing film for whatever reason. One of them, you can see the back of my head headbanging at a concert like 15 years ago.
Right.
The guy behind me was filming it and he uploaded it to YouTube. I found out about it 3 weeks after the fact. And then that one time was a local auditor. Because the cops got called out to an incident that I happened to be in the middle of at the time, which was interesting because, again, I know all of them. I'm on a first name basis with most of them. I've shared cigarettes with a couple of them. Hell, I got one of them's phone number because I was hoping that she'd take me up on my offer of an ice cream date one time, but then she went and got married on me. So
ain't that a bitch? Just
she was there.
Okay, so
and I was not in an official capacity. This was at a local bar.
Right.
Some shit got out of hand with other people that weren't with us, and then people that were with us got involved, and it turned into a whole fucking thing.
I hate how that spirals.
Yeah, and like the cops, they only saw what they saw when they showed up, so they had no idea knowing what sparked it or what went on beforehand or anything, except for a bunch of people's words. This is not a place that has cameras, by the way.
Right.
And so while we're trying to square things away with the cops and make sure that the only person who goes to jail is the one that popped a girl in the bar that night, right in the jaw, right, who was not one of us.
Hey,
The only reason we got involved is because
chat is cool. Snowfire has some pretty cool content over here.
All right.
She does streams.
But the only reason we got involved is because one of the people in our party saw what had happened and he took issue with it, and the cops showed up just in time to see him taking the dude on. So it was a whole thing. Meantime, this guy shows up on the periphery about 20 feet away, and he's got his phone up and he's filming and shit. And obviously tensions are running high, especially with those of us who had been drinking for hours before this happened. And I might be on film somewhere, kind of telling him to go fuck himself, because I was not happy about it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm on camera on YouTube about 10 years ago. I went to a party where an individual ate a pig's eye. $20. And it all started because somebody was like, I got $20 for anybody willing to eat the pig's eye. I said, I'll do it for $20, but if somebody would do it for $19.99, they can have it. I'll eat most anything, blondes, brunettes, redheads. Hey,
a pig's eye.
You want to hear a joke?
Sure.
What do a blonde and a bowl full of Jell-O have in common?
I feel like I should know this. What?
They both jiggle when you eat them. I got a non-YouTube approved joke in about 3 minutes when we get off this live stream.
Oh, fair enough. I've got a lot of non-YouTube approved jokes. Most of my jokes are non-YouTube approved. Hell, most of the shit that I say on YouTube is not YouTube approved.
Well, I've learned that the more subscribers you get, the more likely you have an admin in your group. I picked up an admin about 500 subscribers. And the reason I know this is a list of people that you are familiar with became nuked from orbit immediately after they came on my show. People who had previously been unknown to those people. And so I stopped looking for those people to host because I was obviously causing problems.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. You got anything you want to tell everybody before we drop off this? Go backstage.
No, man, this is fun. This is a good time.
This allows you to come up on After Dark. on after every Sasquatch Shills, or if I'm doing a chilling with Sasquatch and you've got a particular interest in the topic, whatever it might be, feel free, hit me up. If you want any kind of like editing tips, tricks, anything like that with StreamYards or OBS, or Shotcut is the preferred editor that I use. That kind of stuff. I like to help people make better content, but I would like to help you make the content. It does no good for me to make it for you. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're interested in such things, feel free to swing by. Hit me up. You got my email. I'm going to drop you backstage and do the talk out, unless you've got a good talk out. You skilled?
No, not at this time. I mean, I've got my spiel, but it's long, and yeah, don't worry about it.
All right, but I'll be back with you in just a minute. All right, so that's pretty much the end of our show. We're gonna roll backstage and do Jello shots off of each other's navels because we don't really have anything else to do. I'm probably gonna put on some Firefly and let that play in the background while I whisper sweet nothings to my man ears, because we all float down here. You gotta love it, bro. Let's see. I want to do this once.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Yep, because I like it.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3,